A Nike employee or a former Nike employee who is making the rounds with a video that is now circulating the internet talking about the situation involving Nike, Caitlin Clark, the slow play that they're doing, even doing so much to show how their stock is falling off the shelf. And let's talk about this video. You may have seen it by now. I'm going to show it to you again, but it's a former 15-year employee at Nike in the women's division, and
they signed her, they ignored her. Now, a former insider has blown the lid off the biggest corporate blunder in sports history. Caitlin Clark's sponsor isn't just failing her, they're actively sabotaging their biggest asset, and the reason why will shock you to your core.
Such a big game for Caitlin, her returning to her alumni in Iowa and her hitting that massive logo 3, the logo 3 during the game, that some of her sponsors would want to show her support on social media, do any sort of marketing to uplift her and uplift their brand. And one who did do that was Gatorade. They tweeted a photo of her and they said, "Real home court advantage. Welcome back to Iowa, Caitlin Clark." Now, one of her lead sponsors that was noticeably quiet yesterday was Nike. And a lot of people were tweeting about this. They were wondering, why isn't Nike and Nike basketball, why are none of their accounts saying anything about this? Yes, it's a preseason game, but this is a huge day for Caitlin. She's returning to her alum.
Caitlin Clark didn't just play basketball, she transcended it. From her record-shattering collegiate career to her unprecedented WNBA debut, every game was an event, every shot a headline. Remember her electric return to Iowa, the sheer energy in that arena, the jaw-dropping logo 3 that sent shockwaves through the sporting world? Sponsors, typically quick to capitalize on such moments, should have been tripping over themselves to celebrate.
Nike, we need to talk about Caitlin Clark. Let's you and me talk about Caitlin Clark, since you refuse to talk about Caitlin Clark. I care deeply about you. I spent over a decade in your marketing organization. I spent several years trying to get into your organization, and it's been 3 years since I left your company. I'm just here as a friend. I care about you. I want to show you 2 different charts here. One, your stock price since 2021. It is down nearly 60%. Your executives and the people who are making these decisions, their stock options are worthless. Meanwhile, you have the single biggest needle mover in all of American sports since Michael Jordan, and you have somehow convinced yourself that you need to slow play this. Let me show you Google Trends search traffic for 4 female basketball players. There is one who only rivals Caitlin Clark, and that is Angel Reese, and you do not have her. She is over at Reap.
One prominent name, a brand synonymous with athletic greatness, remained conspicuously, unnervingly quiet. Their basketball accounts, their main brand channels, absolutely nothing. Fans immediately noticed their social media feeds erupting with confusion and indignation. Why was this powerhouse brand, the one that practically invented sports endorsements, seemingly ghosting its biggest rising star during her most impactful moments? This wasn't just a PR blunder, it was a glaring red flag, and it set the stage for a former insider, a veteran employee, to drop an absolute bombshell. This 15-year veteran from the women's division didn't just talk, she laid out a damning case that has sent shivers down the spines of sneaker enthusiasts and corporate executives alike.
How in the world is Nike not going full on Caitlin Clark phenomenon? You've got the most popular women's athlete in the world. Do they still not have a Caitlin Clark shoe out? My mind is blown by this. The minute that she started playing in the WNBA, you should have rolled out for every little girl in America the Caitlin Clark ones. And that should have been the baddest ass women's tennis shoe that has ever been.
The revelations from this former insider were nothing short of gut-wrenching. She detailed a disturbing corporate decline, highlighting how the brand's stock price has plummeted nearly 60% since 2021, rendering executives' personal stock options practically worthless. Her message was a direct, pointed plea. They needed to address Caitlin Clark. The accusation was stark. This brand is intentionally slow-playing Clark, treating her like an afterthought, a forgotten item in a clearance bin rather than the generational talent she undeniably is.
A lot of conversation has been made around Caitlin Clark, her signature shoe, the Nike deal, and with how much Nike has been dragging their behind, which how much Nike has been moseying to the finish line when it comes to pushing the Caitlin Clark button, fans started speculating maybe this deal isn't as official as we thought it was. We get no signature shoe, no news of a shoe all season long. We get no merchandise all season long. We get no commercial all season.
Her alleged deal, an 8-year, $28 million contract, felt like an absolute steal for a player who has single-handedly redefined an entire league. Compare that to the rumored 9-figure deals for other emerging talents, and the sheer disparity becomes infuriatingly clear. But the biggest betrayal? Despite whispers and promises of a signature shoe and robust merchandise, absolutely nothing materialized.
Caitlin Clark's Nike deal might be the worst endorsement deal in the history of professional sports. You guys remember this billboard that was put up in Iowa? Well, that's one of the last times that Nike has done anything for Caitlin Clark. They promoted her more in college than they have at all the entirety of the WNBA season. She signed an 8-year, $28 million deal with Nike that also included her own signature shoe, which honestly, looking at it now, $28 million for 8 years is an absolute steal for this superstar, when a player like Wemby's Nike deal was rumored to be over $100 million. Caitlin has not only had an incredible rookie season, but she has also transformed the WNBA. She became
Look, no iconic Clark ones for the millions of little girls inspired by her. No dedicated apparel to mark her arrival. It felt like they offered a May deal and then failed to deliver on even that. The brand that built empires on athlete endorsements was now acting like a bad Tinder date with commitment issues. And this colossal misjudgment left the door wide open for a hungrier, more audacious competitor.
Yeah, she feels as though that this Nike deal has been racially motivated. She believes that there's a disparity in how Nike is prioritizing and rewarding athletes like Caitlin Clark. And it's just, she's saying that athletes like Caitlin Clark are getting the better deals compared to other athletes, especially women of color. She additionally expressed her frustration through social media in her podcast, The Reese Life, suggesting that Nike was not treating all WNBA players equally.
While this dominant brand seemed content to treat Caitlin Clark like a hidden gem, another titan of the athletic world watched, waited, and then, like a predator, began to pounce. Their rival isn't just observing, they're moving with the precision and hunger of a cat in a room full of laser pointers. The moment Clark's camp reportedly looked even slightly miffed at the brand's inaction, this rival appeared, not just with flowers, but a whole sneaker bouquet. Their alleged offer was staggering. Your own line, signature colorways, and an unlimited supply of actual respect. They didn't just send strategists, they dispatched a full team ready to make her bigger than a pop sensation at a sold-out stadium concert.
All season long, and it had people thinking to themselves, maybe this deal that we all thought was finished and signed and completed isn't as finished, signed, and completed as we thought, or maybe they're renegotiating. Maybe Caitlin Clark on her end pulled back the reins, said, whoa, let's revisit this clause that I said if this doesn't get done in this amount of time, we need to revisit that. People were even speculating that. But today was the Nike quarterly call.
The contrast couldn't be starker. The established Goliath proverbially moseying to the finish line, while the ambitious challenger was ready to bench press the entire women's sports industry, armed with $100 bills and a clear vision. This wasn't just about a shoe deal, it was about vision, recognition, and the audacious ambition to execute the steal of the century.
Nike has been having one horrible week in the media, bro. And what's crazy is that everything started off great. They put out a wonderful Super Bowl commercial. Everybody was for Nike. You want to know what Nike did? Shot themselves in their own foot, man. Everybody's weighing in on this situation. We know they put out the wonderful Caitlin Clark commercial over the last weekend in the Super Bowl. Then the very next day, they messed up, put out another commercial. Didn't even mention Caitlin Clark's name at all. And then just yesterday, they re-edited the damn commercial and did a voiceover over it. Like, my goodness. If I was Nike, I'll just be quiet right now.
But the plot thickens, revealing an even more uncomfortable truth. The former insider brought forth an incendiary accusation that this brand's handling of endorsements, particularly those involving Clark, wasn't just corporate incompetence, but potentially tainted by bias. She argued that the brand is disproportionately prioritizing and rewarding certain athletes over others, specifically suggesting a disparity in how white athletes like Clark are valued compared to women of color.
Hey, sports reporters, let's talk about Caitlin Clark and Nike. All right, now I got to thinking about yesterday's event, and that's what it was. This was a sporting event we witnessed yesterday afternoon between the Fever and the Brazil national team. You want to know why Caitlin Clark games are different, haters? It's because her games are an actual event that you appointment television show.
This painful suggestion was subtly echoed by another prominent WNBA star, Angel Reese herself, who, despite receiving significant brand attention, voiced her own frustrations about unequal treatment for WNBA players on her podcast. While Clark was drawing record viewership and selling out arenas, the brand's primary promotional focus seemed fixed on Angel Reese, often with awkward editorialized images that did little to highlight her dynamic on-court prowess. Where were the powerful team spreads featuring Clark, Aaliyah Boston, and other rising stars? Instead, we often got awkwardly cropped pictures of Reese, making it seem less like a cohesive, thoughtful marketing strategy and more like a deliberate, even divisive choice.
2 years. The Asia Wilson sneaker was reportedly kept a secret. 2 years. While last year, Nike's being drugged through the coals because Asia Wilson doesn't have a sneaker, yet people are screaming for Caitlin Clark to have a sneaker. And then they make it seem like they changed course and Asia Wilson's going to get a sneaker first. But 2 years, a 2-year lie. That's what happened yesterday in the unveiling of the Asia Wilson sneaker by Nike, which had Cheryl.
Then came another bewildering move from this brand, turning their week into a full-blown PR nightmare. After a widely celebrated Super Bowl commercial, they shot themselves in their own foot almost immediately. A new commercial was released, conspicuously omitting any mention of Caitlin Clark. The backlash was swift and brutal. Fans, sports analysts, and even seasoned NBA players weighed in, ridiculing the oversight.
White, if I recall. I mean, I could swear I remember that. And because of that, largely a lot of players didn't like Caitlin Clark very much last year. They had to teach her a lesson by absolutely fouling the ever-loving shit out of her. But let's talk about it. Welcome back, everyone, to another edition of Rudy's Rant, powered by Come On Now, the podcast. I'm your host, Rudy Rodriguez Shomont, aka Rudy the Hammer. This is where we talk facts over feelings. To all you who are back again, I appreciate y'all. Please be sure to like the video, leave a comment. And for those of you who are new, please be sure to pound that like button, subscribe to this channel, and leave a comment. Nike unveiled Asia Wilson sneaker.
What did the brand do? They shamefully re-edited the same commercial the very next day, adding a hurried voiceover to finally include Clark's name. This desperate pivot screamed of panic, not strategy, and as if to add insult to injury amidst the storm, the brand announced Asia Wilson's signature shoe.
You've got the most popular women's athlete in the world. Do they still not have a Caitlin Clark shoe out? My mind is blown by this. The minute that she started playing in the WNBA, you should have rolled out for every little girl in America the Caitlin Clark ones. And that should have been the baddest ass women's tennis shoe that has ever been made in the history of Nike. How are you burying Caitlin Clark inside of a garbage ad, Nike, where you claim that the reason why women's athletes aren't successful is because of misogyny? What? Do you know men watch more women's athletics than women do? If misogyny actually existed, no male sports fans would watch women's sports and they would be even less popular than they already are. Most Caitlin Clark fans
While undeniably deserved and great for Wilson, the reveal came with an uncomfortable narrative. The shoe had been kept a secret for 2 years. A 2-year lie, according to critics, which only deepened the suspicion that the brand was actively withholding information, strategically delaying releases, and generally fumbling their biggest assets. It was a PR faceplant of epic proportions, making them look like a toddler picking favorites, completely out of touch with the very audience they claim to serve. The brand's current strategy doesn't just look like a series of bad decisions, it feels like a full-blown identity crisis, a midlife sneaker meltdown. While Caitlin Clark is lighting up arenas, pulling record-breaking viewership, and sending social media into cardiac arrest with every 30-foot bomb, this brand seems determined to hand the megaphone to players whose most viral highlights involve outfits, not offense. It's laughably, painfully out of touch. Clark isn't a novelty act, she's not the flavor of the month, she is a cultural moment, the undisputed future of an entire league. The brand treating her like a secondary option is like asking the most devoted fanbase in music to buy tickets to a generic rock concert instead of their idol's sold-out stadium tour. It's not just frustrating, it's personal. They're effectively spitting in the face of the very people keeping the league relevant, the fans whose loyalty is unparalleled. Clark's brand isn't just a bullet point on a presentation slide, it's the whole damn presentation. She's built her influence, her name, her unprecedented reach in spite of this brand, not because of them. So the question looms, can this brand recover from such fundamental blunders, or is Clark's inevitable departure to their rival a foregone conclusion? Imagine the seismic shockwave if Clark signs with the 3 stripes. The Clark 1 Fire Edition wouldn't just sell out, it would annihilate sales charts in under 4 minutes, sparking parking lot skirmishes and grown men fighting over toddler sizes. Kids would show up at school wearing them like holy relics. Grandmas would be camping out at Foot Locker again like it was 1996, and the original Air Jordans just dropped. This rival, with their sleeker designs, higher performance, and willingness to innovate, would not be running a historical museum, unlike the current brand, who seems content remastering the same old silhouettes. This rival would hand her an entire division, let her rename it Clark Performance if she asked, and launch campaigns with QR codes leading to behind-the-scenes training footage, holographic signature launches, and maybe even a line of custom step-backs. A Caitlin Clark rival partnership isn't just about a shoe deal, it's about total domination. It would send a shockwave so profound, the current brand's executives would wake up in cold sweats, muttering, "Why didn't we just give her the shoe?" This isn't just a missed opportunity, it's a branding catastrophe. It's fumbling the one star you cannot afford to fumble. It's watching a future legend walk right into your competitor's arms and not even trying to stop her. When she does, that iconic swoosh might just transform into a very long, very painful sigh.